just wanted to talk about how Florida Man is just kind of smelling of roses, which I know might seem a bit like sycophantic or something, but genuinely, I think he's just incredibly done well. And I wanted to just note how if you had the political balls to stand up and say, yeah, funnily enough, I'm not going to lock down the state, then you actually look good within a year, and incredibly good. And we'll just start this off by mentioning there's a premium video, of course, on lotus.com, being the interview Carl did with Sebastian Gorka, who is the fellow who's been advising Donald Trump along with others, which I'm not going to get into the whole Trump-DeSantis thing. That's a whole other time. Instead, I just want to take a look at Ron DeSantis' run for governor and his campaigning, because the messages he's giving across remind me of just how messed up we did in the last couple of years, or at least our leaders did. Because if you go to the next one here, here's just the polling. This is just the latest polling. If you scroll down so you can actually get his polling up, in which he's got against his other candidate. Previously, he won by 0.4%.
Right.
So even the small lead here is like, leaps and bounds over what it was when he first run. So unbelievably popular. So that's interesting to see. And the reasons why are not hard to see when you actually check out his campaign. Because we're going to play the next clip, which is just a political ad that his family put out. And I know it's a political ad, so it's, kind of cringe a little bit. And there's, obviously just his side of the story. But the things that are mentioned in here actually make me feel really sad about what the rest of us did in the West with regards to locking down the whole country, especially. I mean, it's like watching a parallel universe in which, we actually had some strong leaders. Let's play this one.
Ladies and gentlemen, Governor Ron DeSantis.
Today we deliver for the people of Florida yet again.
You saved our jobs.
And kept us going.
They tried to shut us down, but you saved our business.
$1,000 bonuses.
You had our backs.
And honored our service.
You led by facts, not fear.
And you let us decide.
You let me go to school. You gave me a voice.
You put us first.
And didn't let them keep us apart.
You let us learn.
You let us compete.
All of us.
You protected our right to worship together in person.
And you raised our pay.
You protected our waters. And kept Florida beautiful.
When they attacked you, you didn't cave.
You stood strong for Florida.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Governor.
Gracias, Gobernador DeSantis.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Governor DeSantis.
So, I mean, there you have it. And I know it's a political ad, but at the same time, like, just the things being listed, you're like, crap.
Yeah.
We messed up.
The basic, like what you expect from a government. That's the very basic stuff.
You didn't shut down my business. Oh, thank you for that.
Yeah.
You didn't ban me from going to church. You're a hero. It's like, yeah, the West really did kind of fall for a year there.
Yeah. And now
we messed up.
Now we're reaping the effects. I mean, there's a story we covered in GB News last night of suicide rate, shooting up in young women, and it's because of lockdown.
Yeah,
because the isolation, the lockdown, all to save some fat and old people from coronavirus.
And that's the other thing as well. He mentioned here, like, you could go and see your family. Like, you didn't keep your part like here and let the old just die alone.
Yeah.
Just, no, not doing that.
Yeah.
And everything else. And like I say, it is like watching a parallel universe. I mean, if it wasn't for places like this that didn't do what everyone else did and instead were just like, no, we're not going to be retarded and just carry on as normal.
Yeah.
We wouldn't know as well how badly we messed up.
Yeah.
And that's why I think it is important to just play. I know it's a political ad and therefore it's what it is, but it's just the importance of playing it because you realize, oh crap, we didn't have to do any of that.
Yeah, and they didn't even have an increase in infections or mortality compared to places that locked down really harshly, like California.
And if they did, it's just like, well, what's worth it here?
Yeah.
Is it actually worth destroying everything that's worth living for so you can live?
Yeah.
In a world that's not worth living for.
And every day we get a new thing coming out that's an unintended negative consequence of lockdown. So, kids are behind with their learning. The toddlers are behind on their speech recognition because of the masks.
In the UK, we've lost like 13 years of progress.
Yeah. And obviously we've got this hyperinflation and we've got, the economic devastation. And, I think even stuff like, Putin's warmongering is based on, you looked at the West and he was like, they look weak.
But it's all unnecessary. And just looking at DeSantis' campaign, I mean, I know he's in his own circle right now, but for the rest of the world, we really should pay attention and see what we destroyed. Yeah. Because if you get the next one here, you're going to see him just campaigning. Like, he's really reaping the benefits of this as well, politically. Because you can see on the left there, this is just someone noticing the fact that, before you had the media being like, hey, how dare you do all of this? If you can give it a click, please, John. Have them talking about masks, being like, oh my God. At a head start, masks remain on despite CDC guidance. Like, you must do it to the kiddos. And then if you go to the next image there, you have the New York Times admitting, the pandemic erased 2 decades of progress in math and reading. The results of a national test showed just how devastating the last 2 years have been for 9-year-old school children, especially the most vulnerable. And it's like, yeah, well, imagine if you just didn't do any of that. That would have been good. And if you go to the next one here, you can see just the worst details, as someone notes. They bury it in paragraph 13 here. If you give that a click, please. Then you can see the fact that they say, masks can make it more challenging for some children to develop early speech and reading skills, which are learned, in part, by observing the mouth movements.
Yeah.
Again, I feel like, like you come back to the West and you read, like, do we know what a girl is? Is it the fact that you learn how to speak from watching people's mouths? It's just the most basic things.
Yeah.
And whilst masks, worn properly, do offer virus protection, thanks to YouTube changing their guidelines, we can actually hit down on that one now. Young children tend not to be severely affected by the coronavirus, even when unvaccinated.
Yeah.
The death rates are near zero.
It's terrible that we sacrifice children on the altar of our good intentions. You know, to
Not even
save,
good intentions.
To save what people are going to die pretty soon anyway.
None
Like, very few people that died from coronavirus didn't have underlying
health conditions, or were in the very old bracket.
Yeah.
And it's like, of the kids who died, that's closer to zero than 1 million, let's say, and that's probably globally as well.
Yeah.
And then what have you sacrificed in return? Well, 2 decades of work.
Yeah.
In literacy and maths.
And that's just in that thing. You've also got all the other. You've got obesity, childhood obesity, and obesity for everybody. Everything.
I just imagining like Florida parents just the next whatever conversation they have with someone in another state, just like, oh man, you guys didn't lock down. That's bad. It's like, yeah, my kids can read. Yours can't. So.
Yeah. And that was always the thing that liberals would say about, be like, oh, these dumb rednecks or whatever. It's like, well, actually now, the rednecks...
They're actually more educated.
Yes, the rednecks are reading Plato.
Yeah.
And, your ones can't read.
And the criticisms of DeSantis as well are just hilarious. Whilst this campaign is going on with this context, of course, there's someone here coming out and saying Ron DeSantis is wasting money on Florida election fraud police. How dare he do this? And it's like, yeah, I wonder. Meanwhile, shall we check out the competition? So we'll go to California. You remember this?
Yeah.
Join us in California. Gavin Newsom's running a re-election ad in Florida. He was trying to do dab on DeSantis, saying that, I urge you all living in Florida to join the fight or join us in California, where we are still believing in freedom. Right, okay, the freedom to groom kids, but that's a whole other conversation. Meanwhile, how has California's experiment gone? Well, next link, please. Voluntary blackouts. Good job. I mean, it is almost comical, the levels of disparity. It's like, our kids can read, and they can read by, electricity.
Yeah.
Your kids learning to read still by candlelight.
Yeah.
You've actually gone back.
They're phasing out diesel and petrol vehicles by 2030, I believe. But because of the blackouts, nobody can charge. Never mind afford. Nobody can charge their electric car. And even if you can, electricity is so expensive, it's actually cheaper to get a diesel generator and run that to charge your car.
Yeah. If we go to the next one here, we can also see him just tweeting out, please stop using electricity. Just Gavin Newsom here in California. So we actually can't run anything. Not even the lights. Never mind the trains running on time. But if we go to the next one here as well, we also just have a lot of people having fun at California's expense. I did enjoy this. It's just some ABC 7 headline here in some local Houston. Los Angeles can be entirely powered by renewable energy in 25 years, study shows.
Yeah.
Next year, well, the power just went out here at ABC 7. Yes, Mr. Brown. It's not going well, is it? Oh, boy. Because we also have the other criticisms that Ron is a fascist. Don't you know? Don't you know he's doing fascist things? We have some verified checkmark saying he's refusing to go to a debate because he's a fascist. He actually never agreed to go to this debate, I found out. You know how that works? You know when you get invited to a dinner party and you don't go? That's you chickening out because you're a fascist?
Because you're a fascist.
It's almost like, I just didn't get the invite, so I don't care. Yeah. But if we go... Sorry.
Who would you rather have as the next Republican presidential candidate, him or Trump?
It's not my job. I don't really care.
Yeah, but if you had a preference.
If I had a preference? I mean, I think Donald Trump is the one who's entitled to it. But if he doesn't want to run, then, it's going to be Ron DeSantis.
Right, yeah.
I don't feel like Ron running against Trump would do much good because it's definitely Trump's party at this point, for sure.
Right.
But if we go to the next one here, we can see the fact that... also, who's a fascist here? I mean, we haven't had a place to include this over the last few segments, been another couple of weeks, but I just have to somewhere. This is a leaked report from the Attorney General talking to Facebook in the Biden administration, arranging for weekly and monthly calls to discuss what to censor on Facebook. I mean, it's entirely illegal, entirely unconstitutional.
Yeah.
The United States government shall make no law. Sorry, it's Congress shall make no law, abridging the freedom of speech.
Yeah.
But the Attorney General can literally call up Facebook and say, yeah, shut it down.
And also we hear a lot about fascism. DeSantis, Trump get called fascist. People on the right get called fascist. Fascism is when business gets co-opted into
state
government, into an autocratic government. And this is business, Facebook, being co-opted into the Democrat Party.
Yeah, I mean, there's absolutely no statements being here about what will happen, but everyone knows what will happen. I mean, the Dems in Congress constantly threaten Facebook with nationalization.
Yeah.
And in response, Facebook toes their line.
Right,
because, well, they're actually scared.
Yeah.
Whereas the Republicans will say, oh, well, we'll have a word. Ooh, censor any more of us. We'll call you in for another hearing. Like, yeah, okay, bud. See you next time. Like, I don't care. Sorry, but it's just pathetic. If you go to the next one here, we also have the fact that there's this really funny leak in which the Attorney General, the Biden administration, wanted a Fauci parody account deleted. Hi there, is there any way we can get this pulled down? It's actually not one of ours. It's like, yeah,
my God.
It's a parody account. The White House here writing up to Facebook being like, take it down. And they responded with, yep, on it.
No way.
There you go. They actually deleted this.
And this is what's happening to libs of TikTok. It's what's happening. The Babylon Bee still down from Twitter.
Yeah.
Which is,
if you ever wondered,
satire.
It's not a mistake by someone who works Cognizant, who's taken the contract for content moderation.
Yeah.
It's the fucking White House that writes to Facebook or whatever and gets stuff deleted.
Yeah.
And we have the leaks to show it.
Yeah.
It's just mad. Anyway, there's also just the fact that recently, Ron DeSantis and his team, of course, have been campaigning, well, for quite a while now, on critical race theory and rightly demonizing it in the public mind for all Americans. And they're actually, I think them, and their movement have done the good work of making sure this is, rightly shown as it is, which is evil in the American mind. And they've actually won a victory here from the Anti-Defamation League. This is a weird power play, and you'll see where I'm going. Anti-Defamation League launches review of its own educational content after Fox News Digital investigation here. So Fox News Digital did an investigation into the ADL, which originally founded more than 100 years ago to combat anti-Semitism. However, their stuff now includes critical race theory documents and far-left ideas in their education wing. In a statement to Fox News Digital, the ADL spokesman stated that they don't teach critical race theory, but admitted that some of their curriculum materials have been misaligned with their values. The ADL, left-wing organization, backing down and saying, whoa, sorry, we'll get rid of this. Interesting. Quote, we are far from perfect, and clearly there is content among our curriculum materials that is misaligned with the ADL's values and strategy. We intend to address this issue immediately and openly. We are moving to launch a thorough review of our education content. We will review the findings and implement a process to update them appropriately and expeditiously. We will get this right. That is something you usually get from some right-wing organization or a neutral company that has been caught in the headlights of some left-wing mod.
So this is a positive sign, surely, that such a left-wing organization is recognizing the sort of the toxicity of critical race theory.
That it is evil and oh crap, we can't win this fight. We're abandoning Kimberly Crenshaw and all her friends because oh boy, this looks bad. I mean, I don't think I've seen this in a long time. So I thought we'd just enjoy it. The reach of the ADL's education wing is also very expansive, Fox News right. According to the ADL's website, in 2021, more than 64,000 educators participated in its anti-bias training. And 4.8 million K-12 students were reached through its educational tools and programming. Again, a huge weapon for the left, which is why these materials were in there. And now, the right has rightly been able to expose how demonic this stuff is, and therefore demonized it rightly, and the ADL is now backing out of being, well, critical race theorists. Its education glossary terms, which the ADL said it used in its anti-bias program, addressed intersectionality a term coined by critical race theorist Kimberly Crenshaw. Intersectionality holds that a person who is on various oppressed categories, for example, who could be gay and a person of color, can be marginalized by multiple systems simultaneously, blah, 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 blah. They just go on to describe intersectionality.
I like how they say marginalized. Like, all you need to do is like turn on the TV or look at any political party or look at anything in society to see it's totally flipped.
There are no white men in any high office in the UK, but they are the marginalized.
If we're going to talk about marginalization,
mapping the fucking margins, I've mapped them in the top of government. Anyway, they also say having young people reflect on the Women's March, as well as other examples of social activism throughout the years, using an intersectional approach the ADL had in their materials. The article discussed the flip side of white privilege is structural racism. You know, very stock things, which I would have expected them to, at any other time and place to turn around and gone, yeah, whatever. Like
or said, yeah, no, of course we teach this stuff. This is important. This is the most important thing we teach.
They go on to say that they were showing the MTV's documentary White People to students. The ADL's lesson plan called for power and privilege exercises in which they would teach kids about their white privilege.
Yeah, this just sounds like any FTSE 100 company on their corporate training day.
Exactly. Like this is so normie at this point, frankly. The ADL included an article by Peggy McIntosh called White Privilege, Unpacking the Invisible Knapsack. Again, like a stock basic thing for these circles. The lesson plan indicated that white women are justly seen as oppressive. Yeah, this is stock rhetoric for them.
They are if you're paying for dinner.
And also they enjoy unearned skin privilege that needs to be dealt with, as well as continuing to lament white students in schools, saying that they are the oppressors and they have participants in damaged culture and are unfairly advantaged. And all of this is horrific, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But we've gone over it a million times, and every, you know, as you say, FTSE 500 company teaches this crap.
This is baked in to the HR departments of any corporation or organization in the UK. So HR departments, equality, diversity, and inclusion. That's what those roles, those high-paid roles, you know, 77 grand a year in the NHS or over 260 grand a year in the BBC. They're there to enforce that ideological stuff.
But this being exposed by Fox to the American public caused a left-wing organization like the ADL. I mean, an organization that has not been quiet about its agenda and trying to demonize people. And instead, their response was, okay, we'll purge it. We won't have that in there.
Yeah.
That's an incredible win. That is an incredible moment in politics.
That feels like progress.
Yes.
Maybe we can retire now.
Like, I'd love to. I'd love for every FTSE 500 company to take exactly the same stance.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see as these things go.
Yeah.
If in future you get those leaks, like Coca-Cola wants you to be less white. Remember when that happened?
Yeah.
And Coke like silently got rid of it, but didn't disavow it.
Yeah.
I would like to see in future if Coke actually comes out and says, "Oh, we're not involved with that. We purged all that. There was a mistake. Please buy our product instead." That's what I'd love to see, and if this continues, it would be good. They also go on to say they were, of course, also teaching gender ideology, that you should use they, them pronouns and blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
Again, just basic stuff, but I'll skip over it because of time. And we'll just end this off on one other funny note, which is that wokery is hitting levels of I would never predict. So this is a chap here who, Terrence, who decided he would start selling his own pancake mix. So he put it on Facebook, if you can click on the left image there. And of course, Terrence, selling his product, put his face on his product. Facebook labeled his product as racist because it had his own fucking face on it. If you go to the right here, we have the product. He's got his doggo there, good boy, selling Cousin T's pancake mix.
Yeah.
And then if you go to the most right one, is Facebook restricting his account for 90 days. Because this is racism, Terrence. How dare you try to sell your face? Don't you know your place?
Yeah.
It's just
Jeez, wait till Mark Zuckerberg finds out about Ainsley Harriott.
Oh, God. Also, just like those Chinese products, you know, the little, I can't remember what they're called. Is it Bing Chilling or something? I think, John, do you know? You know the little, like, sauces and whatnot? It's got the little Asian guy on it. People don't know what I'm talking about. But anyway, it's just, you remember all of those were erased as well. Like, Uncle Ben had to go. Like, Auntie, I can't remember the sauce, like, the black lady was on. Got deleted. The Indian got deleted from the bottom.
Yeah. That's progress, apparently, removing representation.
Whereas Quaker Oats, white man represent. Unlike Terrence, who is literally unable to represent himself on his own product. And it's good to see that the culture is changing, at least. If you appreciated that segment from the podcast of the Lotus Eaters, you can go to lotuseaters.com to get access to all the premium content we have on the site, such as this premium article from Noel Yaxley, with an audio track for silver and gold tier members as well. If you want to find out what else we're putting out on Getter, you can follow us on Getter, of course, at lotuseaters_com on Getter. Thank you and goodbye.